My name's Simon Stevens, and I have about 5.5 years experience teaching English as a foreign language to international students. As such, I have mostly taught academic English, preparing students for master's level education at British universities and other universities where the language will be taught in English. This doesn't just mean that I have experience though in essay writing through the humanities and the social sciences, etc. It does also mean that I have experience in teaching presentations, giving presentations, both in sort of an academic English, but also there was quite a lot of emphasis placed on learning kind of native English, things like phrasal verbs, as well as academic English, because it's important for the international student to feel comfortable in an environment where most of the people that they are learning with are native speakers, and even perhaps the teacher who is teaching them is a native speaker as well. So they have to be able to communicate as well, not just through writing, but speaking and listening. And that's quite a big thing at British universities, to converse with your classmates and your tutor. So that kind of brings me to my first point, my biggest thing in my teaching philosophy. Like many people, I believe that you have to create a good environment conducive to learning. But that's a very vague and general statement, so I'd like to be a bit more specific. I like to create an environment where risk-taking is something to be encouraged. Fear of failure can sort of stop this risk-taking in a way. And risk-taking, I think, is the most effective way of learning. If you're not going to take risks with your language to learn something new and complex, another way to communicate, express yourself, both in written or spoken language, then you're not going to learn as quickly and as effectively. So you have to create a comfortable environment for that. That's very important when teaching people from a variety of cultures where the learning culture is different, especially if somebody is going to feel ashamed or embarrassed about the way that they make a mistake or do something. So you'll have to be aware of that as well as a teacher. So an environment conducive to risk-taking, awareness of cultural differences of learning. But I think the second point as well is not just awareness of cultural differences, but each individual learns in a different way. Not just the things that they enjoy, but what's an effective method of learning for them. So me myself, I'm quite a kinesthetic learner. I learn a lot by doing. When I was learning musical instrument, for example, I always learned better by actually doing it. Some people are really good at audio learning or visual learning, so we have to identify each individual's preferred way of learning. And then that kind of leads me on to my third point. From that, the best thing to do with teaching English is create a variety of tasks that are a blend of these different methods of learning. So each person involved in the task in a classroom is going to get something from it, So that doesn't just mean that the classic traditional piece of paper in front of you, grammar gap fills. There are other things to do which other people will benefit from. We often did lessons outside in the colleges that I taught at in the UK. Especially with lower level learners, we do sort of direction exercises, orienteering, things like that. So that's kind of the three biggest points in my teaching philosophy. Create an environment of risk-taking, encourage it. Make sure that you know how your learners learn. They're going to learn by doing things, by listening, by rote learning, concept check them. Make sure you understand them as much as they're trying to understand you. And of course, then the third point is create a variety of tasks that will keep interest but will be effective based upon the way that how they learn. Listen to your students too. They will communicate with you if you give them the tools. So I'm applying for a teaching job at IPEC University because I'm really keen to teach English outside of the UK, to see how teaching English is perceived, how it's done in other countries. I do have a lot of experience and knowledge about Turkey. I've been there a lot of times. My wife is Turkish, so I'm really quite looking forward to being out in Turkey and working there as well. So yeah, that's why I'm applying to IPEC University.